All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever felt that faint chill deep in your gut when you realize someone standing before you is not who they claim to be? That uneasy flutter in your heart that whispers, something's off here. I'm not talking about your everyday disagreements or misunderstandings or even those moments when a friend behaves thoughtlessly. No, I'm talking about a darkness that goes far beyond a bad day or a rough patch. It's the kind of darkness that operates like a slow, insidious poison seeping into your life without fanfare and without mercy. It drains your energy, twists your sense of reality, and leaves you questioning your worth, your sanity, and sometimes your very existence. Tonight, we're going to break that illusion wide open. Tonight, we are going to confront one of the most unsettling realities we can face: the presence of truly evil people. I know it's not the happiest thought, but trust me, identifying the signs of a genuinely malevolent individual can be the difference between freedom and captivity, between hope and despair, between living in your own power or crumbling under the weight of someone else's manipulative intentions. What makes this topic so important, so necessary for our discussion, is the subtlety of evil. Evil doesn't always arrive in a swirling cloak or cackling with sinister glee. It often shows up with a smile, ready to charm, to impress, to draw you in until you're so entangled you can hardly breathe. Many of us go through life believing we'll recognize a toxic character the minute they walk in the room. But that's the trick. Truly evil people can be masters of disguise. And if we're not vigilant, if we're not prepared, we can find ourselves caught in their web, fighting for our own sense of self, our own moral compass, our own future. That's why we're here tonight. Because it's time to equip ourselves with the knowledge, the awareness, and the courage to identify that evil when it rears its ugly head. I promise you, this conversation is not about spreading fear or suspicion. Far from it. It's about clarity. It's about empowerment. It's about stepping into a world where you can stand tall with your eyes wide open, confident that no one can undermine your spirit without your permission. People often ask, does it really matter if I call someone evil or not? Isn't that just being judgmental? But the truth is, drawing that line in the sand can protect your mental health, your emotional peace, and sometimes your physical well-being. When you know the signs, you have the power to walk away sooner, to seek help, and to set boundaries that keep your life anchored in truth and in love. I need you to connect with me tonight, not just by listening, but by reflecting on your own experiences. Think back to times you've doubted yourself because of someone else's words. Times you felt manipulated, cornered, or diminished by another person's actions. And ask yourself, were there clues I missed? Was there a pattern I overlooked? Was there a moment when I felt that warning in my gut, but chose to ignore it? If so, let's learn from it. Let's convert that pain into wisdom, that doubt into discernment, that hesitation into unwavering resolve. Because that's what we're doing here. We're lighting a path toward recognizing the 5 key signs that you're dealing with an evil person. And by evil, I'm talking about behavior so consistently and destructively harmful that it leaves scars on anyone who dares to come close. This is not a word I use lightly. This is not an accusation I throw around for dramatic effect. This is about shining a spotlight on the kind of individual who, despite countless opportunities to choose compassion, empathy, or understanding, consistently and almost gleefully chooses the opposite. Before we delve into these signs, let me reassure you of something. Nobody is perfect. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. And sometimes we all hurt people we care about. That doesn't make us evil. What makes someone evil is a sustained pattern of malicious intent, a willingness to exploit, harm, and destroy without remorse, often cloaked behind carefully constructed facades. As we talk about these signs, I want you to stay open, stay curious, and stay connected to your instincts. The point of this discussion is not to label every flawed human as irredeemable. The point is to give you clear, tangible, reality-based tools to identify when someone's toxic influence crosses the line into genuine cruelty. And when you see it, you'll know exactly how to protect yourself, how to avoid getting sucked in, and how to maintain a sense of hope in a world that can sometimes feel so very dark. Now, let's get into it. I want to share with you 5 powerful indicators, 5 blazing red flags that say, danger ahead. Each of these signs is a warning. Each is a chance to wake up, and each points us toward the truth about who we're really dealing with. Let's explore them together, one by one. The first sign is an unnerving ability to deceive. Evil individuals are often masters of creating illusions. They twist stories. They lie about trivial things. They change the narrative when cornered. You'll see them shift timelines, conveniently forget events, or project their wrongdoings onto you. How do they get away with it? They do it with confidence. They do it with a straight face. And before you know it, you start to second guess yourself. Maybe you misremembered. Maybe you're exaggerating. Maybe it's you who's overreacting. This is how they wear you down, how they rewrite your reality, how they make you think you're losing your grip on what's true and what's false. It's not just a single lie either. It's an entire tapestry of lies, a carefully engineered story they concoct to keep you in line. Picture this scenario. You have a friend, a colleague, or even a romantic partner who's constantly telling you one thing, but doing something else behind the scenes. You catch them in a lie. They deny it. You have evidence. They have excuses. They wear you down until you almost want to apologize for catching them in their own deceit. Suddenly, you're blaming yourself. You're tired of fighting, tired of going in circles, so you let it slide. And that's exactly what they want. They rely on your exhaustion, your compassion, your desire for harmony. They twist your better nature until you become complicit in their dishonesty. The consequences: you lose faith in your own instincts. You start ignoring the red flags because life is simpler that way. Less confrontational, less exhausting. But it doesn't stop the cycle, does it? It only emboldens them to keep going. So, how do you recognize this sign for what it is? You pay attention to contradictions. You listen when your gut screams. That doesn't add up. You ask yourself, am I constantly feeling confused in this person's presence? Am I finding it harder and harder to trust my own memory? If the answer is yes, you might be dealing with someone who's rewriting reality for their own ends. The solution lies in documentation. Yes, documentation. Keep track of key conversations, text messages, emails. Write down incidents as soon as they happen. Gather tangible pieces of the truth, so when they twist the facts, you have proof not just for them, but for yourself. Because sometimes the biggest battle is the one inside your own head. Don't assume you can outsmart them in a debate. They're pros at this game. Instead, step back. Create distance. Observe the pattern. If you confront them, do it calmly, firmly, and with evidence. And most importantly, trust that voice inside you that says, this is not right. Evil thrives in the murky waters of confusion. Clarity is your lifeline, your shield, your ally. The lesson here is simpler. Never let someone else's lies define your reality. You are the guardian of your own truth. If someone repeatedly tries to take that from you, that's not just flawed behavior. That's a predatory mindset. It's a warning sign you should never ignore. And as you become more aware, you'll feel it in your bones when someone is deliberately trying to break your hold on what's true. Don't let them. Now, let's move to the second sign, the deliberate exploitation of your vulnerabilities. Evil people are skilled at pinpointing your soft spots. Maybe it's your fear of abandonment, your financial struggles, your longing for approval, or your hidden insecurities about your self-worth. They zoom in on those weaknesses like sharks smelling blood. They'll console you, they'll pretend to sympathize, and in the beginning, you'll feel an overwhelming sense of relief. Finally, here's someone who understands you, who accepts you, who supports you when you're at your lowest. But watch closely. Sooner or later, they'll use that vulnerability to control you. They'll guilt trip you. They'll blackmail you with secrets you shared in confidence. They'll threaten to withhold affection or resources if you don't comply with their demands. And they won't feel a shred of remorse because they see your weakness as a tool to be leveraged. Think of a time you confided in someone you trusted. Maybe you opened up about a personal trauma or a professional failure. You exposed your soft underbelly because you believed that was the path to deeper intimacy or friendship. Then, out of nowhere, that vulnerability was weaponized. Perhaps it was thrown in your face during an argument. You should do what I say, or I'll tell everyone about your past. Or maybe it was used to undermine you in front of others. I wouldn't take that person seriously. You know, they're not stable. This is the hallmark of an evil person. They see human connection as a battlefield, your vulnerability as their ammunition, and your trust as their invitation to attack. The impact of such betrayal can be devastating. You might find yourself withdrawing from other relationships, afraid to let anyone in. You might question your own judgment, thinking, how did I not see that coming? Guilt, shame, isolation, they all come rushing in like a tidal wave. And that's what the evil person banks on. Your pain becomes their advantage. So how do you protect yourself? First, be discerning about who deserves your deepest truths. Trust is earned, not freely granted. Second, if you notice someone repeatedly bringing up your vulnerabilities to control or hurt you, don't brush it off as a misunderstanding. Name it for what it is. Address it directly if you can do so safely. I shared that in confidence. Why are you using it against me? If their response is defensive, dismissive, or worse, aggressive, that's a red flag. Third, consider whether it's possible or wise to maintain a relationship with someone who preys on your pain. Often, the best solution is to establish firm boundaries or cut ties altogether. Protecting your heart, your mind, and your soul is not weakness, it's wisdom. And don't be fooled by tears or apologies. Evil people can cry on command. They can promise the moon and the stars, only to retract their kindness the minute you let your guard down. It's a cycle of manipulation that will repeat as long as you allow it. Understanding this second sign is crucial because it ties directly into the emotional fabric of who you are. When someone uses your wounds against you, they're not just hurting you in the moment, they're reinforcing the deepest fears you hold about yourself and the world. Recognizing this pattern and calling it out is a powerful step toward reclaiming your strength. Now, the third sign, total lack of empathy. We all slip up in empathy sometimes. We get caught in our own world, our own worries, and we forget to see someone else's perspective. But an evil person doesn't just slip up. They live in a realm where other people's feelings are irrelevant. They might mimic concern, shed a tear here, offer a platitude there. But if you look closely, it's all surface. No genuine compassion, no true willingness to share in someone else's pain or joy. They might ask you how your day is, but they're not listening. They might say they care, but the moment your suffering becomes inconvenient, they disappear or twist it into how it affects them. Imagine you're going through difficult loss. A family member passes away, or you lose your job. The evil individual might feign a bit of sympathy at first, but then they pivot. They start comparing it to their own problems, making your grief about their stress. Or they belittle your feelings altogether. People lose jobs every day. Why are you being so dramatic? The coldness is chilling. You're left feeling even more alone because now you're dealing with your struggle, plus their dismissive attitude. And they do it repeatedly. It's not a one-off. It's a consistent pattern of emotional detachment whenever real empathy is called for. The consequences of being around someone with no empathy can be severe. You might start to doubt your own right to feel pain or joy. You become numb because you're accustomed to having your emotions invalidated. You might even believe that your feelings are a burden, that you should keep everything locked inside. And that isolation, that sense of being unheard, is where evil thrives. So how do you recognize this sign in practice? Pay attention to how they respond to other people's stories of hardship or triumph. Are they genuinely interested, or do they quickly turn the conversation back to themselves? Do they mock or belittle people who are down on their luck? Do you feel worse after opening up to them than you did before? What's the solution? First, remind yourself that your feelings are valid. If someone tries to sweep them aside or uses them as leverage, you do not owe that person unlimited access to your inner world. Second, practice not giving them the reaction they want. Often, such individuals crave control, and if you withdraw that emotional supply, they lose their power trip. Third, seek out those who do show empathy. Friends, family, professionals. Surrounding yourself with genuine compassion is the antidote to that cold vacuum, because empathy is the glue that holds humanity together, and evil seeks to dissolve that bond. Remember, you deserve empathy. You deserve care. If someone consistently withholds it or uses it as a performance, that's a glaring sign they do not have your best interests at heart. Moving to the fourth sign, a persistent appetite for chaos. Evil individuals often create conflict for the sheer pleasure of watching others squirm. They stir the pot at work, pit family members against each other, and manipulate social circles to watch alliances crumble. Why? Because chaos gives them control. When everyone else is off balance, they can step into the center and play savior or referee, only to fan the flames even more. They thrive in the storm because that's where confusion reigns and clarity is nowhere to be found. They'll plant little seeds of doubt. Oh, did you hear what so and so said about you? Then watch the drama unfold. They'll offer to fix a conflict they secretly created so people see them as indispensable or heroic. It's a twisted game. And they're always one step ahead because they're the ones writing the script. Picture a workplace scenario where gossip runs rampant and morale is low. There's that one individual, charming, helpful to your face. But the moment you turn your back, they're whispering rumors, steering discontent, and making sure you're never quite at ease. When a fight breaks out among team members, they step in acting like the voice of reason, yet somehow no issue ever truly resolves. Instead, tensions escalate. You see colleagues leaving, burnt out by the toxic environment. Meanwhile, the evil person sits in the middle of the chaos, unscathed and oddly satisfied. This pattern is not accidental. It's a calculated strategy to keep everyone else in a perpetual state of doubt and fear, where they can't see who's really pulling the strings. The cost, tremendous. Chaos drains your energy, your focus, your peace of mind. It eats at your relationships, your work performance, and your self-esteem. You end up constantly on guard, wondering who's telling the truth and who's playing a part in the drama. So how do you fight back? You choose clarity. You communicate openly. When a rumor comes your way, you go straight to the source. I heard something troubling. Can we talk about it directly? You refuse to engage in behind the back gossip. You maintain boundaries by addressing conflicts head on and not letting them fester. You also pay attention to who consistently seems to be at the epicenter of the drama. If it's always the same person, ask yourself, why do they keep finding themselves in these situations? Is it coincidence? Or is it a pattern? Break the cycle by refusing to feed it. Don't let them drag you into the swirling negativity. Detach with grace. Focus on constructive dialogue. And when you realize someone is orchestrating chaos just for the power trip, distance yourself. Don't be afraid to involve higher ups or seek professional advice if it's in a work setting. In personal relationships, setting firm limits on how much you'll tolerate is essential. They might accuse you of being cold or uncooperative, but that's just another tactic to pull you back into their web. Stay anchored in truth. Because order, honest communication, and mutual respect terrify those who thrive on disorder. Finally, the fifth sign, an utter disregard for consequences. Evil people do not care who gets hurt as long as they get what they want. They will trample moral codes, social expectations, even the law if it suits them. When confronted, they'll downplay their actions, shift blame, or feign ignorance. They live by one rule: I do whatever benefits me, period. And if that means someone else suffers, so be it. They might sabotage a coworker's promotion, steal credit for someone else's work, or manipulate legal loopholes without a second thought about who's left in the wreckage. Their sense of entitlement is staggering. They believe they deserve special treatment, that rules are for lesser beings, and that any challenge to their agenda is an act of betrayal. Imagine a situation where someone consistently breaks promises without remorse, lying about business deals, committing fraud, or betraying personal vows. Each time they get caught, they conjure a new excuse or a sad story to garner sympathy. They promise they'll never do it again. Then the next opportunity arises, and they repeat the exact same behavior. Apologies are cheap to them. They're just another manipulation tool. They might even deliver them with a tear or two, but their actions never change. They leave a trail of broken relationships, financial ruins, and shattered trust in their wake. And they do it over and over again because they're not concerned with the aftermath. They're only concerned with what they can gain right now. The toll on you can be immense. You lose resources, time, money, energy, credibility, and sometimes you lose your faith in humanity. Watching someone destroy lives with such callousness can make you question whether kindness and honesty are worth it in a world where evil seems to thrive. But hear this: your integrity matters. Your moral compass matters. The fact that you feel heartbreak and anger at witnessing such ruthless behavior means your heart is still alive and beating. And that is a gift. It means you have the capacity to stand up against this darkness. How do we respond when we see this total disregard for consequences? We draw a hard line. We do not enable. We do not excuse. We do not become complicit in their deeds. When possible, we alert the authorities or leadership if laws or rules are being broken. We sever ties if it's a personal relationship that refuses to change. We stand firm in our belief that accountability is non-negotiable. Yes, they'll try to make you doubt, to guilt you into staying silent, or to manipulate you into compliance. Stay vigilant. Stay true. Understand that there is power in integrity, even if it doesn't bring immediate rewards. Over time, evil eventually unravels itself because living with total disregard for consequences inevitably leads to self-destruction. Whether they see it coming or not, your job is to ensure you're not standing in the blast zone when it happens. We've covered 5 critical signs: the masterful deception, the exploitation of vulnerabilities, the lack of empathy, the appetite for chaos, and the disregard for consequences. Each one is like a strobe light, warning you that dealing with someone operating in a realm beyond simple human flaws. A person whose actions can leave lasting damage. Now let's gather these lessons and place them in the heart of your understanding, so you walk away from this moment not just informed, but transformed. It's time to step back and see the bigger picture. Many of you are likely replaying memories in your head, faces of people who lied to you, manipulated you, or disregarded your pain. You might be feeling a heaviness in your chest or a spark of anger flaring up. That's normal. Confronting evil is never easy. It triggers our deepest fears about trust, safety, and morality. But let me remind you why this confrontation is crucial. Because ignoring these signs, brushing them off as quirks or misunderstandings, allows evil to flourish. Silence and confusion are the breeding grounds for toxic behavior. The minute you start recognizing these patterns, you begin to reclaim your power. So, how do we take these 5 signs and transform them into action? First, we commit to honesty with ourselves and with others. That means listening to our instincts and not dismissing the gut feeling that signals danger. We've all overridden our instincts at some point, telling ourselves we're overreacting or being paranoid. But your body and mind are more intuitive than you might think. Honor that intuition. Second, we set boundaries. We clarify what we will and will not tolerate, and we communicate those boundaries clearly, even if it feels uncomfortable. If someone repeatedly crosses them, we must have the courage to either distance ourselves or cut ties entirely. Yes, that might mean walking away from a job, a friendship, a romantic relationship, things that are ingrained in our daily lives. It hurts, it's scary, but it's also liberating. Third, we seek support. Nobody fights evil alone. Talk to friends, counselors, mentors, or spiritual advisors who understand these dynamics. Let them remind you of your worth and sanity when the manipulations get intense. Document events if you must. Keep records, gather evidence, especially if it's a situation that could escalate legally or socially. Don't assume you have to face this battle without backup. Fourth, we practice self-compassion. Yes, self-compassion. Because encountering an evil person can leave scars. You might blame yourself for not seeing the signs sooner or for falling into their traps. But remember, manipulative individuals are cunning. They know how to exploit our kindness and trust. Forgive yourself for what happened and focus on the lessons learned rather than the pain endured. And finally, we look for the light within ourselves. Recognizing evil in another can make us question our own nature, our own potential for darkness. That's an uncomfortable but necessary reflection. We all have shadows. But what separates us from true evil is our willingness to own our mistakes, to feel remorse, to strive for growth. If you're worried about being evil, that worry alone is a sign you have empathy and morality. Real evil doesn't question itself. So where does that leave us at the end of this journey? It leaves us standing on the edge of a choice. Will you walk away from this knowledge unchanged? Or will you use it to strengthen your resolve to live with integrity and compassion? The world needs more people who see clearly, who refuse to be victims of manipulative cruelty, and who stand up for decency even when it's hard. Think about the ripple effect. When you stand tall, you inspire others to do the same. When you speak the truth, you illuminate dark corners. When you protect your own mind and heart from evil, you create a safer space for the people you love. And that, my friends, is how we begin to heal a world that so often feels broken. Now, let's recap what we've learned. The first sign is masterful deception. A web of lies so intricate, it makes you question reality. The second sign is the ruthless exploitation of vulnerabilities. They use your biggest fears and secrets as weapons. The third sign is the absence of empathy, a complete inability to connect with human compassion or share in genuine emotional experience. The fourth sign is the appetite for chaos. They thrive on stirring trouble, dividing groups, and keeping everyone else in a state of perpetual uncertainty. The fifth sign is the disregard for consequences. No matter who gets hurt, no matter how big the fallout, they'll do whatever benefits them in the moment. Together, these signs paint a grim picture, but knowledge of them is a powerful shield. You have the awareness now. You know what to look for. And that knowledge is your first line of defense. However, knowledge alone doesn't seal the deal. You have to take action. You have to be willing to draw those lines in the sand, to confront or walk away when someone's behavior crosses these thresholds. It's not about being ruthless or unkind. It's about honoring your own humanity and the humanity of those around you. You see, evil can only thrive in environments where it's underestimated or ignored. Once you hold it to the light, name it, and refuse to cooperate with it, you disrupt its power. It might lash out. It often does, but hold steady. Stand firm in your truth, even when the storm is at its fiercest. You were not put on this earth to be someone else's pawn. You were born with the right to think freely, to love deeply, and to walk your path without shackles. Evil tries to strip you of that right, to convince you that you're powerless. But you are not powerless. You have your voice, your courage, your spirit. Those are the tools that no amount of manipulation can permanently take away. Maybe you're thinking, but what if I'm already in too deep? What if this evil person has a hold on my finances, my family, my daily life? That's where you draw on your support system. Don't be afraid to ask for help from legal advisors, from trained counselors, from protective services if necessary. Evil is not just an emotional threat. It can be a physical one too. Protect yourself. Protect those who depend on you. Rally the forces of good around you, and you will find a path forward. It might be a rocky road, but it's a road that leads to liberation. Another important step is to rebuild your sense of self. Evil individuals excel at undermining your confidence and sense of identity. So when you finally distance yourself from them, you might feel hollow, unsure of who you are without their constant presence. That's normal. Take it one day at a time. Engage in activities that bring you peace or joy. Reconnect with people who uplift you. Reclaim hobbies and passions you might have set aside. And most importantly, remind yourself daily that you deserve to live free of fear, confusion, and emotional exploitation. Some of you might still be hesitant. Isn't it too extreme to call someone evil? When I become jaded or cynical, here's the thing. Recognizing evil isn't about declaring that all humanity is doomed. It's about being wise, discerning, and proactive. It's about addressing the reality that some individuals move through the world leaving destruction in their wake. Pretending that evil doesn't exist won't make it vanish. Embracing the reality of evil doesn't mean letting it define your worldview. It means arming yourself with the clarity to protect what's good and pure in your life. We also have to remember that people can change, but real transformation requires genuine remorse, self-awareness, and a commitment to do better. If someone shows you time and again that they lack those qualities, then letting them run roughshod over your life in the hopes they'll magically transform is not kindness. Self-sabotage. Protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary for your survival and growth. Because the healthier you are, the more you can contribute positively to the world. So I stand here tonight telling you this. You have the right to guard your heart. You have the right to assert your boundaries. You have the right to recognize evil in whatever shape it appears. And you have the right and the power to walk away from it. This is not about revenge or hatred. It's about self-respect and preservation of your soul. It's about creating space for healthier relationships, for genuine love, for real connection. Let us not forget that the existence of evil also highlights the contrast of good. You have the power to choose compassion, empathy, honesty, and respect despite the darkness you've witnessed. By doing so, you affirm that goodness is not only a place in this world, but a lasting impact. Every time you say no to an evil act, you're saying yes to a better future for yourself, for your family, for your community. It might seem like a small gesture, a quiet stand, but the ripple effects can be profound. Right here, right now, I call you to a new level of awareness. Go home tonight and reflect on your relationships, personal, professional, and otherwise. Does anyone in your life repeatedly exhibit these 5 signs? If yes, what will you do about it? Will you open an honest conversation, set a boundary, or seek professional advice? Will you step away entirely, or will you stand your ground in a way that protects you? There is no one-size-fits-all solution, but there is always a choice. Doing nothing is still a choice. It's a choice to remain in the line of fire. I urge you not to settle, not to resign yourself to a life of constant turmoil because you believe you have no other options. You do. Seek them out. Fight for them. Embrace them. And remember, if you've seen these 5 signs in someone else, you are not alone. Many have walked this path, and many have emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate on the other side. If you're in a tough situation, reach out. Speak up. Evil thrives when good people stay silent. Don't gift it that silence. Break it. Find your voice. Because the world needs it. Needs your courage, your wisdom, your integrity. So let this be our collective call to action. From this day forward, we vow not to be bystanders. We vow to trust our instincts, to protect our vulnerabilities, to seek empathy, to reject chaos, and to hold people accountable for the consequences of their actions. We vow to stand against evil wherever it tries to take root, in our homes, our workplaces, our communities, and our hearts. If you take nothing else away from tonight, take this: you matter. Your voice matters. Your boundaries matter. Evil will try to tell you otherwise, but it's lying. You have the right to push back, to walk away, to demand better. Do not let anyone ever strip you of that right. In the face of darkness, be the light. In the face of confusion, be clarity. In the face of hate, be love. In the face of evil, be a force so steadfast, so rooted in truth, that no manipulation or betrayal can extinguish your flame. Thank you for sharing your time, your energy, and your presence with me tonight. Now carry this knowledge forward. Use it to shield yourself from those who would harm you, and use it to guide others who might be lost in the same shadows. We all have the capacity to make this world a safer, kinder place. One act of courage, one boundary, one unwavering refusal to tolerate evil at a time. Let's stand together in that commitment, and let's not waver. Because the moment we do, evil gains ground. Let that never happen on our watch. Keep walking tall, keep shining bright, and know you have everything you need to stand firm against the darkest forces life might throw at you. Stay blessed, stay courageous, and never stop believing in the power of good.